a couple of days ago, we were at the Scottish Parliament having a little pro-life gathering, and beside us was a much larger gathering organised by the Muslim Council of Scotland. Now, a few of our people had a chat to a few of the Muslims around. I had a chat to a couple as well. And the Muslim event, was a response to something that had happened in India that I didn't know anything about. So I've done a spot of research. And a couple of representatives of the BJP, the ruling party of India, which has something of a Hindu nationalist tone to it, I understand. Well, they criticised and mocked Mohammed. Now, at least part of this incident took place in a TV show where apparently a Muslim made some very mocking comments about Hinduism, Hindu gods, and the BJP Hindu person responded by mocking Mohammed, comments about his marriages, etc. As a result of this, there's been violence, disturbances. Actually, a Hindu who supported the Hindus making the comments has been beheaded by some Muslims in India, which is obviously appalling. But what we had next to the Scottish Parliament was not an angry mob by any means. They obviously were intending to have a positive tone and to be honouring Mohammed. That seems to be the general tone. Someone's dishonoured Mohammed, so they're saying that we're here to honour Mohammed. So I did my spot of research on it, and on the Muslim Council of Scotland Facebook page, there is an excellent video talking about how to respond to situations where, for example, Mohammed has been defamed. I'll let you watch a little bit of it.
Recently, a politician passed remarks against the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Muslims have expressed their anger at the incident and demanded retribution. When the Prophet was himself insulted during his lifetime, the Quran said to him, "Ignore what they say and counsel them." When people used abusive language, the Prophet did not abuse them back, nor did he confront them with aggression. If someone speaks offensively to you, you can't demand that he be punished. If someone disrespects your Prophet, you can't react by violently damaging property and burning effigies of that person. If someone has hurt your religious sentiments, you can't react by raising angry slogans on the street and pelting stones at people. In Islam, abuse of the Prophet or blasphemy does not invite physical punishment, not even an apology. The Quran clearly states that prophets were sent to every town, but people ridiculed every prophet who came to them. But nowhere does the Quran prescribe punishment against such verbal attacks. This is because people have the freedom to say whatever they want to say. God has not given anyone the right to place curbs on this freedom. If someone has issued a statement against the Prophet, you too can issue a statement in response to answer the objections raised. The Quran at no place states that if someone abuses or ridicules the Prophet, you should stop him from doing so. And if he does not stop, you should demand that he be arrested or beheaded. Today, instead of praying to God for people who speak against the Prophet and having well-wishing for them, we demand the worst treatment for them. So it is time for us to introspect. Is the Prophet's honor and legacy protected by pouring our outrage on social media and on the streets, or by following his teachings in our own life? The Prophet has taught us that there is higher dignity in rising above defamatory comments and defamatory statements. The Prophet never lowered his dignity by raising his voice and stirring up a storm against such defamatory and insulting remarks passed at him.
Yeah, I thought that was really good. But I understand why Muslims get angry when people mock, defame Muhammad. I mean, as a Christian, I get a bit annoyed and upset sometimes about things that happen, like when the Educational Institute of Scotland, the biggest teaching union in Scotland, staged a performance of a play that portrayed Jesus as being transgender, for example. I mean, it's routine that comedians that you'll see on the television will mock Christianity in the sort of most merciless way. I say sometimes some of the things make me angry. Some of them, I don't particularly like to listen to it, so I might turn it off. I realise for a lot of Muslims, it stirs much stronger feelings than that. Don't quite understand why that is, but I know that is the case. So, when they give someone of a religious persuasion comes across something that they find objectionable, then obviously they can object to it, they can counter it, they can protest against it, they can call for a boycott of the business or whatever. If it's something funded by the government, for example, they could complain to the government and say they shouldn't be funding that sort of thing. If it's on the BBC, they could complain to the BBC, say they're going to cancel their TV license or whatever. That's all fine, but demanding punishment legally or some sort of vigilante action is obviously out of order, as that video on the Muslim Council of Scotland made very, very clear. Now, freedom of speech is a very important value for us in the Scottish Family Party. So we're going to big emphasis on that, because there are a lot of views, socially conservative views, where the drift in society is that they're heading towards being criminal. And that would include the views that a lot of mainstream Muslims hold as well. Now, alongside freedom of speech, I think it's healthy in a society if there is a culture of respect. Now, that shouldn't inhibit debate and criticism. That's one thing. Now, when it comes to comedy, a lot of comedy, I don't really like it. I don't think it's helpful, whether or not it's mocking anything that's dear to me or to other people. But, you know, that's going to happen. It's an open society, so that's going to happen. I mean, what I think is often wrong is where people are deliberately provocative and hostile. So they're not trying to start debate. They're not trying to criticize. They're trying to provoke. They're trying to hurt. They're trying to offend. Now, I think that's not good behavior. It's not something we would want in society. But on the other hand, it's not something that should be illegal either. It's something that should be discouraged. And we should encourage a positive ethos. But let's say it's not something that should be illegal. Now, the gathering outside the Scottish Parliament, if the Muslim Council of Scotland wanted my advice, which it might well not do, but if it wanted my advice, I would suggest, if you want to have a rally that honours Mohammed, I would suggest you just do that as a standalone event, rather than doing it in response to something that happened thousands of miles away in India that I knew nothing at all about. I mean, virtually everyone in Scotland, apart from Muslims, will know nothing at all about it. So I would suggest just go ahead and present the positive message. Doesn't need to be in response to something that happened thousands of miles away. I think most Scots, if they found out that that was relating to something that had been said on television in India, would just think that's sort of a little bit strange. Whereas if you were there saying, this is what we believe in our religion, we commend it to you, I think that would make sense more to people in Scotland. Now, there was one aspect of the leaflet I was given, actually, that I would question. Because the leaflet calls on the Scottish government to condemn these politicians in India who'd made these comments. I mean, the first thing I would say to that, is it just the Hindus who were offensive to the Muslims that the Scottish government should condemn? Or also the Muslims who made offensive comments about Hinduism as well? Now, in India, there'll be countless instances of people saying offensive things about Islam. There'll be countless other cases of that around the world, similarly with every other religion. Now, as I said, it's not really the government's job to commentate on religious disputes around the world. Now, if a Muslim asked me for my view on it, I would say the Hindus and the Muslims involved in this were both wrong. They both lost their head, and it was very unhelpful. But on the other hand, I would say that there are a lot more serious international issues to be focusing on. Now, one of the Muslims at the gathering came over to where we were, gave me a leaflet. I said, oh, let's do a swap. So I gave him a couple of our pro-life leaflets. I said, you'll agree with this, won't you? We're protecting unborn children. He said, oh, yes, definitely, absolutely, yeah, we think this is a very, very serious issue. Fantastic. Now, my response to him would be, okay, you're upset about something that people said in India. That's fine. I maybe don't quite understand that because I'm not a Muslim. But, okay, you're saying that's something that's really upset you. Okay, that's fine. Say your piece, respond to it. That's absolutely fine. But here in Scotland, what issues are we facing? What issues are you interested in as a Muslim? I mean, are your children being corrupted and sexualised at school by the government through immoral sex education, LGBT indoctrination and transgender ideology? The answer in almost all cases is going to be yes. I mean, in Scotland, family life has been neglected instead of being honoured. Marriage has been neglected instead of being encouraged and celebrated. The authority of parents is being undermined. abortion is leading to the killing of thousands of precious lives every year. The Scottish Parliament is considering allowing doctors to give poison to their patients. Now, when I speak to Muslims in Scotland, I find that they're very concerned about these issues, and I would love to see more Muslim campaigning and more Muslims speaking out on these topics. So if you're upset by comments in India, fine. But I would ask Muslims, what have you got to bring to political debate in Scotland? And I would suggest you've got a lot to bring to political debate in Scotland. How could your strong family values help shape a better future for this nation? So the Muslim Council of Scotland, please bring your socially conservative values into the heart of Scottish public life. Now, you might find among, for example, some of the members of the Scottish Parliament who might be very friendly to you. If the more you bring these socially conservative values in, you might find some of them are not so keen. They will disagree vehemently with your values, but it's what Scotland needs. We really need every voice we can presenting these positive socially conservative values. And whenever you do that, we'll be right behind you. Now, we've got some Muslims in the Scottish Family Party. That's great. We'd love to welcome more. But as a Christian, when I come to politics, I don't come into politics because I want to be a Christian in politics. I don't want to bring my Christian identity into politics. That's not what politics is all about. Politics is about policy and creating a better nation. So I want to bring my Christian values into politics. And I would say the same to Muslims. Politics shouldn't be about bringing your Muslim identity into politics. I mean, there are already some politicians in Scotland who say that they're Muslims, but I don't hear them bringing much of Muslim values into politics. But I would urge Muslims in Scotland, please bring your values into politics because we need them. Now, there are about 200 Muslims, I would guess, there outside the Parliament a couple of days ago. I would love to see 200 Muslims making their voice heard outside the Scottish Parliament on one of Scotland's vital moral issues. And when that happens, we'll be right there with you.